Welcome to Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine. I'm your host, Jill Jardine, Master's in Counseling Psychology, longtime astrologer, psychic healer, and yogi. In this episode, I'm going to introduce my course, Prosperity Programming, online course with my friend Terri Nicklas, certified financial planner. You'll want to stay tuned to find out more and what this can do for you. Welcome to the episode on the Prosperity Programming course with my colleague, Terri Nicklas, certified financial planner. We're going to discuss how this course is going to help you crack the codes of wealth and abundance using metaphysical methods. I have cultivated this presentation of prosperity programming from my years of working with clients for over 30 years. And now, my guest, Terri Nicklas. Welcome, Terri.
Hey, thank you, Jill. It's a pleasure to be here.
So you helped me put this course together, and we had a really good time doing it, and we were both getting all that information that I cultivated from my years. We got it together, and doing it, we were activating these principles of prosperity.
We were, and Jill, it couldn't be more timely. I think you and I have discussed putting this course together for probably 3 years. We've been having this conversation. And the idea of building an online course did seem a little bit daunting at first.
Yes.
But I think once you got into it, and I believe what I saw with you was once you realized how much you're going to be helping people through this course, I think that really inspired you to keep it going. Do you agree with that?
Yes, and in fact, I got inspired to do this course because working with the cryptocurrency people over the last year, they were all wanting to make all this money from crypto, and I was always trying to teach them in their readings about how it's an inside job and that they shouldn't align their prosperity with what would happen with crypto, even that regular stock markets. And as you mentioned, Terri, it is important now more than ever before that we align our consciousness with abundance and wealth rather than scarcity or lack.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think I agree 100%. When people are looking for that quick fix or that, give me the magic wand. I don't want to do the work. I just want something really quick to make a quick buck. It never lasts.
Right.
It never lasts. But I think that when anybody is going to sign up for your program, I really believe this is what they're going to get. They're going to get such a strong internal foundation that they will become unflappable. It won't matter whether the stock market's going up, it's going down, it's going sideways, we have inflation, we don't have inflation. When you have a solid understanding of your money consciousness and your money mindset, you have no choice but to succeed.
Thank you for that. And you are someone who can speak to that as a certified money coach as well as a financial planner. And I ask my listeners to stay tuned for an upcoming podcast featuring Terri Nicklas and her work. But as we discussed, it was so timely to release this prosperity programming module courses, which actually has 4 modules and so much bonus content as well, that despite what is occurring in the world with this looming economic recession, we must cultivate the consciousness of abundance and prosperity within. And many people have become quite wealthy during challenging economic times. So this is a tool to help people break out of that mindset that is limiting them because they think what is going on out there is dictating how wealthy, abundance, or successful they'll be.
That is so true because it's almost like a duality. Or
Right.
if you picture a scale, like Libra, the scale,
Right.
there's some are going up, some are going down all the time. It doesn't make any difference what's going on in the world. There's always some winners and there's some folks that are not winning. And the ones that are winning are the ones that have that mindset that they're not going to be shaken by what's going on in the world. And the way that they do that is by not only doing exercises that they'd find in your course,
Right.
but also just having that personal decision that I am an abundant person. No matter what I have, there's always somebody that has a little less, and there will always be somebody that has a little more. But when you know in your heart that you are an abundant person, abundance will flow to you.
Like attracts like. And we talk about that. We talk about the principle of attraction in the course. And also, it is important to do this work. It's an inside job. That way, whatever those waves of up and down or those scales going up and down out in the world are occurring, you will be riding your inner wave of success and having it mirrored back to you in your life. I mean, I used a lot of my teachings that I studied myself on prosperity consciousness, but also a lot of psychological tools to help people shift the psyche regarding scarcity or lack and turn it into prosperity and wealth programming or consciousness.
No, that's very true. And I think that that is the key. And I've seen it throughout my life. And I think I've seen it because it's been something that's been really important to me to figure out why are some people successful while other people constantly struggle. And even people that are in the exact same family, like they had the same parents, grew up in the same household, you'll have one person who is really successful and everyone else is just barely getting by. And the difference is not only the decisions that they're making, but they're making those decisions because of their mindset. And the tools that you provide in your course really get right down to the granular level of how do we shift that mindset to get it to work in our favor. And if you are a person who spends a lot of time listening to the news, you will never get there because the news is always negative. And as we were talking about before we started the show, the human nature is to be negative rather than positive. So if you want to have a positive attitude toward anything, you have to work at it, where a negative attitude comes naturally.
That's right. And we talked about the lowest common denominator syndrome, where people tend to fall into the lowest common denominator. So if you're with a group of, let's say, 3 people, and there's a Debbie Downer who joins the group, the Debbie Downer is going to bring the other 3 down. And I like the metaphor that you used about the wall.
Yeah, so if you were building a property, building a house, and you went to clear land, and there was already a stone wall, you just pick up a sledgehammer, you knock the stone wall down. That's pretty easy.
Right.
But to rebuild that wall takes time, discipline, and skill. So to make something beautiful, whether it's in your heart, in your mind, or in your life, takes time, patience, and skill, where to make something, to destroy something, doesn't take anything.
Right. Anybody can destroy something. It's harder and more of a challenge to build something up and to even build people up and to build ourselves up. But you're right, too. You watch mainstream media, no news is good news. It's going to be a buzz drainer. You could start watching it in a great mood, and then you'll hear about all the doom and gloom, and then you get to see it all being funded by big pharma ads. So it makes you wonder what's going on here. But we have to work at it to bring our vibration or energy up. And that is what this prosperity program course does. It raises your vibration in short order to align with prosperity consciousness, which will get mirrored back by your experiences in the world of receiving more abundance and flow in your life.
No, that's absolutely true. And I think one of the big blocks that I see people have is they have a lack of worth.
Big point. Good point. Yeah.
And I've always said out loud to many people that your self-worth is very tightly connected to your net worth. And what I mean by that is if you don't think a lot of yourself and you don't see yourself as worthy and deserving, well, guess what? You're putting a block between you and prosperity. And when I say prosperity, Jill, I'm not just talking about money, although when we're talking about the course, a lot of it is based on financial. But abundance is really everything that you want in your life, whether it's nice relationships, whether it's health, whether it's just, as humans, our most basic need is to feel happy.
Yes.
We want to feel happy. And it isn't that money makes you feel happy, But a lot of people that don't have money aren't very happy. They just
True.
have that lack of abundance. And when you have that feeling of not enoughness, it really makes you stuck. And you often don't know how to move forward. So your course, what I loved about working with you on your course was how you break it all down and you make it simple, but you also make it fun so it's not a chore.
Yes. Yes, and you mentioned a lot of really good points here regarding wealth. What is wealth? And as we say in our Vedic teachings, health is your first wealth. And I think about that a lot because I think as people get older, what's going to become more valuable is if you're healthy, because then you can do all those things you're used to doing. And you also need to finance your life. So health and wealth go hand in hand. And then there's who are we associating with that? Then we look at the relationship part of our lives. So, but it's never too late to start. This program is appropriate for all ages.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's what I loved about doing it. It was like I was speaking to almost like myself, what I needed in my 20s and my 30s and 40s and so on, and thought about the generational piece of what's important for prosperity at your different ages or in your different decades of life. There's definitely different needs, but this program addresses all those needs at all ages.
Absolutely. And no matter how old you are, just having that positive mindset is always going to set you free. And when you think about the different ages of your life or the different stages that we go through, like when we're in our early 20s, we're, kind of building up our career, and then, 30s and 40s, and then we get to our 50s and 60s, and we're not necessarily looking to build, but we are looking to impart wisdom, to
Yes.
share what we've learned along the way. And one person that I love to think about, and it's interesting because her anniversary of her passing was on August 30th, and that's Louise Hay.
Oh, yeah, love her.
She started Hay House at the age of 60.
That's right. She's an inspiration to everybody who is into the holistic metaphysical teachings because she got a later start, but look at the success she had. It's almost like she went from first gear to fifth in those 20 years or so that she had left in her life.
Right, and she actually worked as the CEO of the company for 30 years. She didn't step down till she was 90.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So you still have so much viable time at 60 years old to create the life you want.
Exactly. And she had been somebody who, if you ever read about her, she lived pretty much hand to mouth. She was always struggling. And something inspired her to start a publishing company. And she started very small. It was almost like, going to Kinko's and printing something out yourself back in the day when we had Kinko's.
Right.
But she got noticed that people that were writing books that were positive, uplifting, metaphysical, spiritual in nature, they didn't have a place.
Yes.
They didn't have anyone that would hear their voice. And she decided to be that person.
And what a wonderful contribution to the world. And she did this. She was a true pioneer because back in the day, I was exposed to all this kind of work and doing it at the same time in the 80s and 90s. But it was considered very rogue and very almost like anti-Christian. And there was a lot of kickback if you worked with this kind of spiritual, metaphysical, holistic, inspirational work. It wasn't fully accepted by society. So she also broke through major barriers, and she was also working with all the AIDS patients at a time when there was a lot of contempt in society towards that population, and she had a lot of positive results with that population through You Can Heal Your Life.
Right.
So yes, it's people like Louise Hay that break through these barriers and that have contributed to society. And I'm hoping that this prosperity programming will have an effect on people in a positive way as well.
Well, that's what I see with it. And that's, I was so thrilled that you asked me to help you with this because it inspired me. So even in just listening to you and, doing the mechanical end of the program with you, it helped me release a block.
Wow, thank you. Thank you for that, Terri.
You're welcome. No, it was very inspiring, and I'm thinking if I can do that, if I can get released and I'm not even taking the course, I can only imagine what it's going to do for your audience.
Well, because of my training and my experience, I created this as an alchemical, meaning it's going to transform you at the deepest levels, and it will show up in your life. I have a background in counseling psychology, so there is this energetic of psychology, counseling, as well as the metaphysical principles that will create transformation. And it is an alchemical process, but you have to do the work and do all the modules and definitely look at the bonus materials. When we come back, we'll break it down a little more and tell listeners what they can expect without giving away the farm. Welcome back. My guest is Terri Nicklas, certified money coach and certified financial planner, and we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of Prosperity Programming Online Course by Jill Jardine. So, some things for you to know so that you can really look forward to diving into the course is that it's 4 complete modules. And for those who have a short attention span, they range from 10 to 15 minutes long. So that is the presentation part, but you'll be required to do work on your own. So you'll want to definitely do the accompanying exercises and other processes because this is where you'll have your result. So it's 4 modules, and there is a lot of bonus materials. Well, I think there's a lot because I put them all together. So the bonus materials are part of the price, and they enforce what you're doing in the main 4 modules. The first module is the introduction to the prosperity programming, and you can expect to learn about affirmations if you don't already know about affirmations. But I teach them in a way that I've never seen anyone else teach them because I'm putting together years of experiences of clients using them as well as myself. So I have a lot of teachings that you can't find out there. And the other piece is these classic metaphysical teachings and quotes from people such as Catherine Ponder, who have done a lot of work in the prosperity consciousness movement. And then I'll share prosperity laws, metaphysical prosperity laws.
No, it's great. And I know a lot of people have heard of the law of attraction.
Right.
That's a very common, there's many books written about it, and it's very, well known. But there are many laws around attraction and around prosperity and other, positive things that you want to bring into your life. And one of the things that I really loved about the way that you teach affirmations is how important it is to include yourself in the affirmation.
Yes.
So the 2 words I am are very spiritual. So when you say I am whatever, you are telling the universe that you are this, whatever that outcome is, whatever that positive thing is. So for example, one of my affirmations, and I did learn this from you, so I hope I'm not spilling the beans here, but it was that I am worthy. Beautiful. I am so happy and grateful now that I am worthy. So you can have it very simple, 3 words: I am worthy, I am deserving, I am loving, I am whatever it is that you want to address as yourself. But if you extend it and you put I am in a couple of places, it's almost like putting gas on a fire.
Right. And that I am phrase is a direct pipeline to the divine. I am has a connection with God consciousness, God, source, the divine, the universe, however you want to address it. The I am is the code that unlocks the key to access that God consciousness.
And it works. It definitely works. You do have to do the work, but the work works.
Yes, it does.
And for me, as I was experiencing the course with you, and I mentioned I had a block, I'm also, we've talked about, that we're both writing these courses, and I have this course, and that for some weird reason, I haven't promoted it. I haven't gotten it out there. There was a block, and that block was around my self-worth. And after going through the work with you, along with some of the other things that I've done with you in particular, when we did the past life regression, that was like, oh my goodness, like this is the problem. Here it is.
The missing link.
Yeah, great, the missing link. And it was that worthiness, like in learning when did that start, like going all the way back and figuring out when was it that I decided that I wasn't worthy. And by working with you and then doing the course, it was like this reminder, because we forget. Like we do the work, we go through an exercise, we go through a session or whatever, and life goes on and you kind of forget. But you don't forget because it's in your subconscious.
Right.
And that's what's so powerful about this course, is that it triggers your self-conscious so that you're bringing all this information to the front. It's like you're taking it from the back of the brain and you're putting it in the front of your head. And now you can deal with it. Now you can process it. But you break it down and you make it very simple. But the whole key is doing the workbook, doing the exercises, even if it's 5 minutes a day. It's like building a muscle. It doesn't matter how much time. What matters is the consistency in building that little habit of taking a piece and working on it.
Thank you, Terri. Thank you for that feedback. I think that's very important for listeners to know that this prosperity program course is going to reveal and clear up subconscious blocks that get in the way of accessing abundance and prosperity. And as the great psychologist of the 20th century, Carl Jung, said, we do not become enlightened by imagining beings of light, but by making the darkness conscious. And in this case, the darkness is the subconscious and the blocks that we hold about our worth and our deservedness to prosperity. And when we get those coming to the surface and we're clearing them, there are no longer blockages to your success and prosperity. And that is quite a bit of the work I do. But it's fun, as you mentioned. It's fun work. You're going to have a really good time with this course. So let me break down the next 3 modules. Module 2 is actually the prosperity programming techniques, and I teach you 6 of them. And then you have some time to practice them all and write down what comes up in your journal and work with your affirmations and more. What did you feel about that second module?
I thought the second module was really powerful because I think the first module kind of set the stage.
Yes.
And then the second module gave you the tools. It's almost like you went to the hardware store and you bought the toolbox. And then as you moved through the process and through the program, you saw how each tool worked. And, just like if you were, I like to use house building metaphors, I guess. But if you were hanging up a picture, you wouldn't use a screwdriver. You'd need a hammer.
Right.
So we have a lot of tools in that toolbox that you provided, but what's key is that you teach us how to use them and how they benefit so we can pick and choose.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for that. So the third module, you really inspired me to do, Terri, because I was probably going to work the course a different way. But module 3 is entitled Clearing the Way. And I teach you techniques to release obstacles, metaphysical techniques. And this is one that's very interactive. But again, you're going to have a lot of fun with it.
No, I agree. And what I loved is some of the work that I've done over the years with learning the success principles through Jack Canfield. There's a lot of overlap. And I think there's overlap because the work works. And
Right.
it isn't so much that it's anything new, but the way that you put it together in a new way so that we can see how all these tools can interact. And I loved Module 3. I think Module 3 was probably my favorite. That's the one that I really felt I had the most aha moments in Module 3.
Yes, thank you for that. And they're techniques that I've worked with clients over the years, and clients have had epiphanies and revelations doing these techniques in
Oh, I can
Module
believe it.
3 to
Absolutely.
clear the way. If you hadn't gotten to what was in the way before Module 3, you certainly will find out what has been blocking your best attempts to be more prosperous. And then Module 4 sort of pulls it all together. There's more metaphysical teachings, and also there's a lot of self-love that goes on in that module and helps you to really watch how you're presenting yourself in the world, such as, are you saying negative self-talk, or are you languaging your life in a negative way, whether you realize it or not, the importance of gratitude about what we already have, and how to get your life in order in simple ways that you can easily implement in your day-to-day life.
No, it's true. And one of the exercises that you gave about gratitude, I've been doing that since I started, listening to your course. So every night as I get ready for bed, the first thing that I do is I have a journal that I purchased because I ran out of paper in, in the one that you provided. So I got another actually journal just for gratitude. And every night I write down 10 things that I'm grateful for. And I have to tell you that since doing that exercise, Jill, I've been sleeping better
Wow.
and I wake up in a much better frame of mind. And I think that it's because I go to sleep with a happy thought. Because when you
Yes,
think about something you're grateful for, you're thinking about things that make you happy.
exactly. So we go into the principle of gratitude and how important that is. So basically, we've given you the Cliffs Notes version of the Prosperity Programming online course. Terri, do you want to share with my listeners how they can access this course?
Yes, the course will be published on Jill's website very soon. And when it is published, I know Jill will be making an announcement through her podcast as well as through email. So if it's something that you're interested in, and this is not a commitment, this is just, I'd like to learn more. What we'd like you to do is send Jill an email through her website, jilljardineastrology.com. And in your subject line, say, I want the course. Now, again, you're not committing to buying it, but that clues Jill in to know that you want to be on the mailing list to be one of the first people to be notified when the course comes out.
Right. And we're going to have at least a couple tiers too of the course offerings.
Yes.
There'll be, you can get level 1, level 2, or level 3. So pay attention to that too. You can always upgrade yourself if you get level 1 and you do want the offerings of the level 2
No,
or
and
3.
one of the things that I would like to share with your listeners that I really love the most about the course, I have to tell you, if I had $1 for every course I've taken in my lifetime, I could have retired 10 years ago. But and one thing that is really has frustrated me with many, whether it's a metaphysical course or a business course, it doesn't make any difference. It seems like it takes them till chapter 20 to get to the point.
Right.
So you read through a book or you go through material, and it's more them telling you the what rather than the how to.
Right.
And in your course, you get right to it. You give that brief introduction in module 1 so that you're kind of warming things up so people know what to expect, but then you dive right into the work.
Right. And it's very content heavy. I mean, I have so much to share that I was like, here we go. We're going to give you so much. Other people would probably milk this information and make it be, let's say, 5 courses. But I'm like, nope, we're going to jump into the deep end. You're going to get all the content. Everything is here at your disposal. Yes, I will be doing deeper courses on this type of content, and there will be offshoots of it. But this is what we need right now in our society, in our lives, to get to the next level.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that it can not only help you get to the next level, but the awareness that you're going to create from taking this course, it's just going to open your mind to what is possible. And I think that you did an awesome job of not only providing way more content than what is normally expected, but doing it in a way that it's not overwhelming. So that when you see it, you don't feel like, oh, I'll never get through this, because you give, it's like highly concentrated sound bites. I think that's the best way I can
Oh,
describe it.
thank you.
It's not, wordy, you don't drag on and on. It's like you really have a knack for communicating and getting right to the point and telling people, telling your listener or your student exactly what they need to know in that moment so that they can process that information and create the best life possible for themselves.
Thank you, Terry Nicholas. I've really enjoyed having you on as my guest and to outline for my listeners what they can expect from the course Prosperity Programming.
Well, Jill, it's been a pleasure. And if people are interested in learning more about Jill, of course, you can learn through her course. But there's another little nugget that we forgot to mention, and that is the chapter in the book that we're both in, which is Overcoming Mediocrity, Limitless Women. And Jill has her own chapter that you can request, and she can send that to you.
As does Terry Nicholas. We are both in the same book, Overcoming Mediocrity, an Amazon bestseller, so check it out. I hope you enjoyed this episode with my guest, Terri Nicholas, certified financial planner and certified money coach, where we discuss my upcoming course, Prosperity Programming. Make sure you subscribe, download, share, and give us a 5-star review. This is Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine signing out, sending you prosperous vibrations through the quantum field.